Hello, everyone. This is Sincere, a Teacher Sincere's channel, and welcome once again. I wanted to share with you in a very brief video the channel of my cousin. My cousin is named Braxton. He doesn't mention it on his channel, but his channel is called the ATWN Network. He has a small channel. He's made a good many videos, and I didn't know my cousin had a channel until this past weekend. We went visiting, my mother and I. We rode with his father, which is my mother's brother, youngest brother. And we went to visit my aunt, which is my mother's sister and my cousin's aunt. Okay. And also my aunt. And she lives far out in the countryside. And my cousin and his wife and children, they also live right next door to her. So they live far out in the rural and here in Georgia. And we had a nice family visit on Saturday. Of course, things are not like it used to be years ago when my mother and my father both came from big families. So my cousin now lives down there, basically on the little homestead, I guess you can call it, because my aunt raises cows, and then my uncle, my cousin's father, goes down, and they continue to. He gardens. Still the garden that my grandparents used. Okay, my grandparents have been dead for quite a while. My grandfather, this is my maternal grandfather, died in the 80s, early 80s when I was in university, and my grandmother died in 2005, I believe. Yeah, she was 93 years old. But my cousin has his channel, and I want to share it with you. And I found out from his son, his eldest, and not his eldest son. This is his second son. That he says my father has a channel, a YouTube channel. I said, really? And he says yes. And he said, I can't remember the name of it though. So I asked my cousin, and he gave me the link, and this is his channel. And I was so excited about, if you look here at the topics, it's all about the Palestinians, about Gaza and the West Bank. And I was so surprised because where I live here in Georgia, most people, they never talk about this. They act like it's not happening, what has been happening in Gaza, Palestine. And it's just like worlds and worlds away. They act like it's not happening. And, I have people on my Facebook that I went to school with years ago. And a lot of them, they'll be like, I don't talk politics. So they don't, it's like you can't, I feel like I'm the only person around that I know of that really cares in this area about the Palestinians. And it's been a dilemma for me because I have been in contact with Palestinian people for the last 2 years, and really even before that, because my friend Walla and I became friends probably 2 years before, or about a year before, really, I guess about a year before the genocide in Gaza. And so we were in communication then. And I remember when she started talking to me on Twitter, what was then Twitter, I was thinking, oh my God, I say, I think this is so neat to meet someone from Gaza, but I also don't want to really talk to her, because what if I get attached to her and she gets killed? Because even before this happened, Gaza was being periodically attacked by Israel. So, but we have continued to be friends and stay in contact with each other. Walla is no longer in Gaza, as I've mentioned before. In previous videos, she lives in Lebanon. They are trying to find somewhere else to live because their visa is going to run out. One of her brothers was going to school in, in Lebanon. He's married there in his family, but she and her mother, not my mother and I, but she and her mother are going to have to find somewhere else to live. I'm not even sure if they can even get back into Gaza. So they're on their way to being stateless. She was looking into going to Canada. I tried to help her out some with that. Because her English is limited, and also she was looking into maybe going to Colombia. I don't know if Colombia is a good choice now because I saw a report that Trump is interested in is thinking about attacking not only Venezuela but Colombia. Colombia has been very pro-Palestine, but they're on this roll now with all this about narco terrorists and this and that. And in Brazil, I guess yesterday, there was a big, basically, war in Rio de Janeiro, clearing out the drug gangs and drug lords and everything. So it'll make Rio de Janeiro look like Gaza. It's not funny though, but I'm just, so much in life is so absurd now, and I just have to. It's just sort of a defense mechanism with me, to just sort of keep it together, okay? Because it's either laugh about some of the absurdity or just scream and cry, and I don't want to do the latter. But anyway, but my cousin, I was so surprised because people here generally are not interested. This is a small southern. This is his hometown, but he now lives down there, about 30-minute drive away from my hometown and his hometown. My uncle lives 2 houses down from me, and I did notice. I was very surprised 2 years ago at the beginning of the genocide because we were having our usual family gathering on Thanksgiving. Okay, we don't really celebrate genocide, but it's just a family tradition, just a day when we eat a lot. So I don't like to think of celebrating Thanksgiving. It's one of those fake holidays. It's sort of uh, whitewashes over genocide too. So about American history, probably. So, but anyway, but we were there. This was 2 years ago, right after it started, the genocide in Gaza in November, because Thanksgiving is in November, and we were over at my cousin's house, and I can't remember the exact conversation, but it got on Gaza. Okay, this was like a month into basically the slaughter. I can't say it's a fighting because it's a slaughter. You have a unequal balance there. So against people, basically militias, against and a vulnerable, huge civilian population, sardined into a place, and Israel with all this weaponry coming from this country, the United States, and other countries, but particularly the United States. So I don't know, but we drifted into a conversation about. I was talking to his wife. He came in, and then we started talking about Gaza. Some got on the topic of Gaza, and he mentioned the Hannibal option, and I was so surprised because I'm like, wow, he knows about the Hannibal option. And what the Hannibal option basically is that Israel has a policy that if some of their soldiers are taken, you can correct me on this if I'm wrong. Um, they will kill their own people, basically get rid of their own people. If it's soldiers, if their soldiers are captured in a hostage situation, they have a policy of basically killing them. Okay, killing both the hostage takers and their own people. So he was talking about that maybe it was the Hannibal option, what happened on October 7th. And I was like, wow, my cousin's on to this. Wow. And I was so surprised. So apparently he had been diligently following what was going on. And the knowledge that he has about it, he probably knows that half of the population of Gaza are children. And he has 5 children. So, and he is a father that cares about his children. We have a lot of people that have children, but they don't care about their children. Okay. And I think that's one reason too, why a lot of people really can't feel anything for children in Gaza, because they don't care about their own children. So how are you going to care about children in Gaza if you don't care about your own children? Now, myself, I like children, but I never married and had children. Okay. And I won't be having any at this point at my age. But I, uh, uh, but it touches me too because I like children. And I and so I was very surprised. So I was very delighted and happy to see that my cousin had branched out and was making short videos about news from Gaza. Now, he often doesn't say the names of the people because they are difficult and stuff, but I think he does a good job. I've seen, I think, a couple of comments that look like from Muslim or Arab people. And And I just wanted to promote his channel, and I encourage you to follow him. Okay. He has not made any longer videos in about a month, but but check out his shorts. He dropped a short today. Okay, this evening it showed up in my notifications, so I'm just delighted. I like it when I see African American people branch out. I'm starting to see now more African American people that have bigger channels than my cousins. My cousin that are doing, talking about geopolitics. I don't want my people to be stuck feeling like all they can do is entertainment and sports. Okay. When I was working in Turkey years ago, I had a colleague say, "Oh, black people are good with sports," and she wasn't being racist, but she was going by what she saw. Okay. We need to branch out more, and I'm glad that my cousin is doing it. He's not afraid to do it. He doesn't have a big degree. He doesn't, on any of that, but he is going out there because he cares. And I'm sure the big part of it is, it's just being a human. Okay. Myself, I am in contact with people in Gaza. I talk to somebody in Gaza, at least one or two people every week. Okay, I follow them on Instagram, and that is basically where I communicate with people outside of on Facebook with Walla, which is my Facebook. She's my Facebook friend. But I just want to share this with you, and I encourage you to follow my cousin's channel, the ATWN Network. I've rambled enough, and so I'm going to end here. Okay, but I am so delighted and happy for him. And I don't always like to use the word proud because proud goes with pride, and I'm just a stickler for certain things. Okay, I had this with words. I am an English teacher, and so me with words, and also a devout person. I realize you have to be careful with the words you use, but I do feel good, and I'm glad that he has branched out. That he has the courage to do it because he's a friendly person. He has a quiet spirit. Maybe it's shy in a little bit, but a little bit, I think. He's not as maybe in, well, I'm not in, I'm an introvert. I'm planning to do a video sometimes about being a black woman who is an introvert. I may not seem like an introvert, but I am. Okay. But anyway, but yes, support his channel, leave comments on there for him, thumbs up. And I see he has a Cash App, so if you want to donate to him, you can also donate to him as well. So I'm going to end here. So support my cousin's channel. So I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. So this is Sincere. Until next time.